This first poem is called I'm Coming Over to See You. It's a gorgeous day. You can't make a record if you ain't got nothing to say. Bending over and grabbing your ankles at the crosswalk can seem a little forward. Years pass and I can't forget Cape Cod, smell of sunscreen, steakhouse, taffy town. The bloodshot eyes of the Dutch nanny, a bourbon in one hand, gin gimlet in the other. When it was time to leave, the old lobster with one claw climbed quietly into our rental car. All the while knowing I must concentrate, focus, stay in the moment for a second. The plane is taking off. I have fastened my seatbelt. I am coming to see you. Charles, the seeing-eye dog, wears a blue raincoat. The stewardess writes her eyebrows on with pencil. Mom always called me enthusiastic when I'd pull my underwear on too hard and rip them to my chin. Baby rabbits in your yard. When I knock, don't let me in. Bluebirds. I'm sitting in my brown chair. I have dirt under each of my fingernails, except for the pinkies. I remember hearing of the gorgeous town blonde who told reporters she'd never date a man with dirt under his nails. It's a poet's job to be dragged by an ankle through town. A poem shouldn't require a lot of book learning to understand, I once wrote, and Tina leaned over my desk and said, "To understand what?" I didn't say anything. Trying again, I wrote in capital letters, "The reader can almost be dumb, really, and still get my poems." Tina nodded her head. The ankle caught up in the stirrup of a galloping horse. I slump over in my chair. It's like I'm covered in bluebirds, little brilliant ones. And when I say this, little brilliant ones, I lisp a little like a man who's been punched hard in the mouth, but still wants to talk bluebirds. This is called The Bad Clown. The Bad Clown. I was at the acupuncturist's. It was my first time. She put the needles in as I told jokes to the ceiling. She put more needles in. I tensed up and let out a demented clown laugh. It made her stop for a second. There was a gentle gong and bell track piped in via hidden speakers. The speakers are in the jade plant, she said. I tensed up again. I was golden brown. I felt like one of those bad clowns, the kind that hide in the sewers. The acupuncturist was trying to help me.
Oh, jeez.
This one is called When It's Time, and I only have ever taught one section of creative writing, and maybe it didn't go well, I don't know, but one of my assignments, and this was to the class, was, okay, I want you guys to pretend you're dead, you've died, and then write a poem about it. And people were, a lot of the students were, it's too macabre, this is wrong, I had a couple people who really thought it was a bad idea, and I never did the assignment myself, but then, 15 or so years later, I got around to it. This poem is called When It's Time. When it's time, I'd like to be buried in a simple wooden coffin, a pine board box, or even a thick, waxed cardboard box. Hell, it doesn't even need to be thick. or wax, see what you think. And drop me in there any old way, in any man's clothes, but be sure to tip my head back and prop my jaw wide open. And get my arms up in front of me like I'm playing the piano. Whether or not they sew my eyelids shut doesn't matter, but don't comb my hair and don't play the drums. When it's time, I'd like to have everyone be quiet. People can dance if they want, but I do ask for absolute silence. I know I'll be dead, but I don't want there to be even the sound of a pin dropping. I'll be in my box looking up. My arms will suggest a gentle concerto or maybe a ragtime number. And it shouldn't be seen as a look of horror on my face, for I've had a good time in this body. So when it's time, and people have gathered around my cardboard box, or whatever you've chosen, to look down at me in silence, their feet shuffling soundlessly in place, the madhouse rhythms coursing through them, their hair whipping in the gale force wind, their cheeks vibrating like jello, as if the earth were about to explode, and no pins are dropping. Do you hear me? It is silent. I will then be the charred center of an enormous yellow flower, which will be very confusing for some and somewhat embarrassing for me, but I'll be dead and so won't notice.
Oh.
Night visit. I'm awakened at 3 a.m. to the sound of an owl. It takes me a minute to find my glasses. I press my face to the window. A silver flash crosses the yard. It settles into an owl shape on a nearby post. My nose and eyes are stinging. A stinging behind my face, like some kind of problem behind a billboard. Why would a man look at an owl and start to cry? My body is trying to reject something. I have no idea what that is. The owl is sitting in the moonlight. The yard is completely still.